All right. What is good, everybody? We are back with an afternoon show, man. I think this is the first time we've done an afternoon show in what, Adam? It's been probably like a year or so.
Bro, I can't even remember the last one. So yeah, excited, bro. Got my extra coffee, full pot of coffee, good to go, man. Living the dream.
Yeah. Well, we are here with Zeneca, who's on stage with us. He is here on the live stream as well, man. Zeneca, bro, how are you doing? And also, dude, great to finally chat with you. You've been in the space for a little while, as a lot of us are. You've had a lot of success, and it's great to finally talk with you in person.
Yeah, it's great to properly connect. I'm doing well. It's morning for me. Just made my coffee, 8 a.m. over here in Australia. But yeah, excited for this. Thanks for having me.
Sweet. Well, yeah, good to have you, man. First and foremost, for those that are joining the show, if you know a few people have tested out our AI product that we've been doing a live testing session with. That'll be live tomorrow. So please, no questions for that. We are just going to talk about the crypto space. So I'm sure we will get into AI. As first and foremost, maybe we'll just dive in. Dude, Zeneca, you posted a thread the other day about losing 8 figures on AI coins. We talked a little bit on this show, man. Have you ever seen a sector in crypto speed run to zero as fast as AI coins did from the top to the bottom?
I don't think so. And just to clarify, it wasn't strictly on AI coins. It was like last cycle I lost or round tripped 8 figures. But yeah, I also round tripped a bunch on AI coins. I think like many of us did the last sort of 6 to 9 months. Yeah, it was crazy. Like even from like the first one that launched that really took off, GOAT, was like everyone was like, yeah, it's the first, it's got all this profit on, it's gonna do so well, and it hit $1 billion, just a bit over, and then it just bled, and then a new one came up, and then they all just bled. I don't know. We'll see if any of them bounce back with a vigor, or if it's just like the hot potato game where it's the new things that launch that get the attention instead of the old ones.
Thread guy was all over that one, Larry. It was just, dude, it's GOAT. It's literally in the name. It's goated, dude. How low could it possibly go? This is going to be 10 billion. This might go to 100 billion, right?
Yeah,
right?
I remember that.
You do get sucked into these. Look, this is the way everything works, right? Crypto especially, and it's super sped up. But yeah, that's the way it works.
There's like this collective delusion. Yeah.
I mean, but that's the way that's everything, right? And sometimes it does work. Sometimes it actually does go to 100 billion, right? And that's what we're here for. How do you, as you're kind of looking at this sort of stuff, for people who are maybe starting out, how do you look at things and try not to get sucked in, but actually believe in something enough to be able to take advantage of something that's going to run? Like, what's your mindset when you're thinking about that?
Yeah, it's really hard because almost everything in crypto is like, I don't want to say vaporware, but like the majority of the price is based on narrative and perception and hype and momentum and all these kind of things. So if I'm like trading, so like I separate like the investment side of things to the trading. Investing is like buy and hold Bitcoin, ETH long term. That's investing. Trading is like buying on the shorter term and looking to sell pretty quickly. If I'm trading, then all I really care about is, it's not really how good is the thing or what do I think of the fundamentals or the team or all those things which are important for investing, but it's what do I think other people are going to think about this coin? Is it something that's going to generate enough attention that other people are going to be like, oh yeah, is it the type of thing that's going to get Thread Guy and many other people on Spaces and being like, wow, this is so cool. And AI is one of those narratives that just, I think over the last couple of years and going forward as well, will be one of those narratives because it is like the biggest technology in the world. Everyone's talking about it. So when you get that intersection with crypto, and whenever there's something slightly interesting or new or exciting, I think it'll get that narrative and attention that will get other people thinking, hey, this is the next big thing. This is the next big thing. So that's just kind of like the framing I go through. But the difficulty is then knowing when to get out of it because, again, other people are talking how. So it's just that's where having systems really helps. Where I think it's like if it like does a 2 or 3x, take your initials out, and then as it hits new all-time highs, take like 5-10% of profits on the way up and keep scaling out. So you don't round trip the whole bag, but you usually will end up round tripping a little bit of it if you yeah.
So when you're evaluating tokens, are you using the same model that you used last cycle? With NFTs, it's funny because the speculation was more focused around utility, right? The perception of, can you token gate something? Does this give you an event, etc.? Now this time it's purely just been, is this token going to be released to either have max hype or max attention through, traditional channels, right? Or through like Twitter, for example. So what type of model are you, what type of model did you use last cycle that maybe helped you this? And then what were the big differences?
Yeah, last cycle, it was all about the team. I just focused on like, is it a good team behind this project? Are they, have they have experience in crypto, out of crypto? Have they built other things? Is there enough people on the team? Do they have someone that's good at marketing as well as product, as well as all that kind of stuff? And I think that's, again, incredibly important when you look at investing and things for the longer term. But it's less important when it comes to shorter term stuff. So I've started to put a little less weight in strictly the team because we've seen things like a one-person team or with an anonymous team just go absolutely well. And probably the reverse, I've seen even more, where it's like you see a project that has an absolutely star-studded lineup and like people that have worked at Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and they tout that, and then they've had successful projects, and it just goes nowhere and it just hypes up. So I think it's important, but less important to me this cycle. It's very heavily narrative based now for me, and it's just about, again, where do I sense the attention right now, but even more importantly, where do I sense it going next? So like in the first, if you're like tapped into crypto Twitter and all the Discords and Telegrams, you can kind of get a sense for like what's the next meta. And like, AI agents were taking off, and you probably had like a month before they really started to go totally crazy, month to 6 weeks. And then it was like AI agents on Base are taking off. So you could hop from Solana to Base and find the next thing. And before that, it was meme coins, like pure memes. It was animal memes and TikTok memes. And it's always going to be something. except in like a pure bearish chop market, there's not that many opportunities. But to me, it's mostly about just like trying to find what that narrative is and get a little bit ahead of it. And yeah.
How do you think it's different from like 21 though? Like in 21, it felt like, you know, myself included, like there were hardcore believers in NFT, right? And still, like still feel like ownership of digital items is a big deal, right? But it's like we had that like core game-changing technology, even though the tech had been around since whatever 2017. It was like now it finally clicked, right, for us, and it doesn't feel like we have that now, right? Anything in crypto that's like new or we're finally bringing it forward. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of social fi and stuff like that, but there's not like just this like we've completely lost the belief kind of mechanism, which would let you hold stuff for months or years to, it feels like that we lost all that during the meme cycles. Are you getting that sort of feel as well?
Yeah, definitely agree. I think that's why a lot of people, myself included, think 21 was just a lot more fun than this time around, because there was this deeper belief that this is going to change the world. Everyone is going to use this technology. This is going to change everything, which I still very much believe for NFTs and for crypto and blockchain in general, but not specifically for meme coins. So yeah, I think that's led to people holding for shorter durations. You don't have people like holding Bored Apes for multiple years or 12 months before it really, 6 to 12 months before it goes absolutely parabolic. You have people holding for a week or a day or an hour, or a month is like a long-term hold for a meme coin. So it's definitely changed that element. There are obviously some diehard cult fans of certain meme coins, but it's just very different. And it's a lot more mercenary, where with meme coins, basically every single person is just there to make money. With NFTs, everyone wanted to make money pretty much, but there was also this like secondary and significant layer where people were there to build community, have fun, change the world, be part of this new technology and all this kind of stuff.
And
I
there
guess
was
the last thing I'll say
vision too, where it's like, it's whatever, it's Doodles, but it's the IP of Doodles,
yes,
right? Which gave you this like, year 2, 5 year down the road vision of like why you would want to hold on to it, right? And so that's
yes,
like,
definitely.
yeah.
And like you had the artist behind it, and people would look into the artist and their previous work, and then you had like the team that were building the business, and all these different layers and elements and reasons to be bullish, which have largely disappeared now with meme coins. But I'll say that for like the technology made us excited in 2021. The technology is even better now. Like it just keeps getting better and better. And so like while it's not specifically like a new one thing at NFTs, things like the ability to now set up a wallet with an email address, that to me is super duper exciting for like mainstream adoption. And it's not particularly sexy or glamorous, but it's what we need to really get a ton of people using crypto.
So looking where we are today, Bitcoin's around 85,000. It's really only about 30% off its all-time high. Pretty much everything else is down 90, 95, some even 99%, which is quite insane, to where you have this disparity between, if you're holding Bitcoin, most people are pretty fine. Like those in the Bitcoin ecosystem who have held ordinals, right? They've been holding their base currency in Bitcoin. They've been pretty fine. All the ordinals went to zero. Runes went to zero. AI coins, meme coins, right? L2 coins, pretty much everything. So you get this giant reset, but it doesn't, but on the macro scale, right, couldn't be more bullish on, pro regulation, right? All these different institutions are now coming in. First, do you think that this cycle is over? Do you think this is just one of those regular kind of corrections where basically all the altcoins just got overcorrected? And then, how do you decide really what comes next if meme coins are now just kind of something that exists in crypto and that bubble is really popped?
Yeah, I actually wrote about this week in my newsletter, like, is the bull market over? And just kind of like how I think about this kind of question. And obviously it's extraordinarily difficult for anyone to know with any level of certainty whether it's over or not. But you'll see a lot of people proclaim to know exactly what's going to happen. You should always ignore those charlatans because they'll try to sell you something or get you to follow whatever. But I try to take into account as much information from sort of reliable, trusted sources that I can, like people that I think have some idea what they're talking about, and then use like the balance of that plus my own experience and intuition and instinct to like evaluate whether I think the bull market is over or not and where we go from here. And so looking at things like all the regulatory changes, the ETFs, the strategic Bitcoin reserve, all these bullish narratives. The 4-year cycle is an interesting one because it is something a lot of people talk about, but when you look back and people like say it's gospel, but then you look back and you're like, well, we have a sample size of like 2 or 3. It's like I can see why people want to believe that it's going to happen exactly the same way again. But it's already kind of proven there's been some cracks in that model where we hit an all-time high before the halving this time around. And so I think that eventually that 4-year cycle model has to break. We're just not going to be allowed to every 4 years have a Bitcoin pump and just everyone knows about it ahead of time. It's impossible. Whether this is that time or not, I don't know. And there's some negatives towards crypto, like obviously Trump and tariffs and macro, and there's a whole lot of uncertainty out there. There's the argument that a lot of the bullish catalysts are behind us. Like we had the ETS, we had the election, we've had the strategic Bitcoin reserve announced, and all these things are behind us. And like what's coming next? However, on the balance of it all, basically, I think there's still like a 75 to 80% chance that the bull market is going to continue. Basically meaning we'll hit a new all-time high for Bitcoin sometime this year or maybe early 25. And what that means for alts, I don't know. But I'm sort of cautiously optimistic as well that we'll get not an alt season in the past where everything rises, but at a point where Bitcoin dominance drops enough that certain coins and pockets that do go up quite a lot.
Yeah, the fabled altcoin season, it doesn't really go the way that it used to. I think all of us on the show have also been here since the 2016 cycle, to where it was Bitcoin pumps, then Ethereum pumps, and then everything else kind of does. But now, as you mentioned, the technology's grown, the ecosystems have grown, right? There's 50 L2s, there's Bitcoin L2s, there's meta protocols, and it seems like these ecosystems are starting to niche down a little bit from generalized L1s and general purpose L2s to these like more specific things, right? Like Ape Chain, or like abstracts going in with streaming, and etc. How are you looking at that then, as kind of as crypto grows and you're getting these like blockchains that are essentially countries and housing it, to where you get these like mini bull markets, but they're really contained to just like an ecosystem? How do you like find what's next there?
Yeah, I think with a little bit of difficulty for the short to medium term, I think that all this fragmentation is not particularly great for short to medium term users and price action, because it gets confusing. There's so many chains. I have money on one, I want to get money on the other. How do I do that? Do I need another wallet? Because like, for Solana, ETH, Bitcoin, Sui, say, there's so many different chains out there, and there's all these new ones launching. I always ask myself the question, like, how many layer 1 blockchains does the world really need? Like, do we need 500? Do we need 50? Do we need 10? Is like 6 enough? Is 3 enough? I don't know what the answer is, but I think it's somewhere between like 5 and 20, perhaps, and then some layer 2s on top of that. I don't think we need, there's like, I think 300 or 400 significant, meaningful ones now. But I think the silver lining is that the user experience is getting better. Like abstraction is real. You're getting wallets now that cover multiple chains. Like you can use Phantom Wallet for so many different chains now. Bridges are getting better and more seamless and faster. Gas fees are coming down. And so eventually you can see this light at the end of the tunnel, where the user just has an app on their phone with some money in it, and they don't know what chain they're using. It's just, if they want to buy something in the background, perhaps using AI even, it just says, hey, you have $100 in your wallet and you want to buy this coin. We'll bridge you to the right chain, we'll buy the coin, and we'll send it and show it in your balance. And then if you want to sell it, we'll do the exact same thing. And if you want to like withdraw it to your bank account or buy Bitcoin with it or self-custody it, it all happens in the background. But that's probably going to still take a few years from now. So the fragmentation definitely hurts us a little bit at the moment, I think.
It makes it fun for, those who are trying to find the next 1000x, right? Last cycle, it was ordinals were kind of first to pop off, and then it was meme coins, and then meme coins kind of just proliferated to every chain. But it was really Solana to where, the majority of the volume is. It's like this idea that generally, the first mover does have a lot of advantage, especially when you're a blockchain, because it's kind of where the culture is cultivated, which also builds this kind of idea of tribalism. But you're a fan of AI. We're fans of AI. Do you think that the next cycle or whatever this next trend is? Do you think it could be something considered like the intelligence cycle, to where, AI is making these decisions for you, or everyone's kind of traded with this AI assistant, where it really levels the playing field between those who are the market participants that are using, quants, or those who are using bots, and then retail, who can also, kind of have the same tooling that these people who have been, these developers who've been using bots and MEV for the last 10 years.
Yeah, definitely. I think that as time goes on, it's going to be harder for individuals to find a significant edge on the market, because AI will just level that playing field. Like at the moment, you find an edge on the market by like information arbitrage. You find information before other people, and you know something before others, whether it's inside information or you just find a Twitter post from someone on the team that no one else has seen, and you do some research and you find that information. Or it's technological arbitrage, where you know how to code a bot, or you know how to use sniping tools or bubble maps, or you can just do your research quicker because technology is helping you, which the coders have had the biggest advantage for a long time, but AI is now making that easier and easier and easier for the average person to use, and so on and so forth. There's different ways to find an edge, and AI is really going to level that playing field across the board, which is kind of good for retail investors, in the sense that it's going to be tougher for the average person to get sort of as exploited as they tend to be versus the sharks. But it also means that edges are just going to significantly drop across the board. You saw this with poker as well. Like I was a professional poker player for about 15 years. And back in like 2005, the best players in the world had a massive advantage over everyone else, because it was just the game was so unsolved and no one knew what the hell we were doing. And then as time went on, you got more bots, you got more AI, you got machine learning, and people were solving the game more and more and more. The game got way tougher, the edges got way smaller, and you work like 100 times harder to make 100 times less money, basically. And I think the same is going to happen for crypto and just all trading in general eventually as time goes on. People will still make money, but I think it's just going to get tougher.
That's actually my belief. I mean, as we're building our, AI agent, everybody wants, I just want him to set it and forget it. Like he's just going to make me money. And I'm like, bro, that's not going to happen. Like that's because it immediately goes like it's a race to zero. Like the margin or the edge goes to zero. I was actually chatting with the founder of AIXBT, which is, this great product, and they've built this backend, which supposedly has fantastic data. And I was like, are you guys going to keep it proprietary? And he's like, no, we're going to, release it to a dashboard. And I'm like, that's cool, but there's no way anybody's going to have any edge. Once that dashboard hits more than one person, once it's 5 people, it's over. Like the edge goes to zero, but yeah. So I don't know. I think we're looking at a lot of us, or not us, maybe, but a lot of people in the space are thinking AIs are going to just like trade for them and make them money. And just seems very unlikely to me,
There'll be like a brief moment in time, I think, where, because I know people already, they are using AI and it is making a bit of money, but everyone wants to run an AI to make money. And when everyone's running the AI to make money, they're all playing against each other. And then, like you said, no one's going to make any money. But that's, like you said, race to zero.
Does this then, maybe give some credence to the return of the builder, where, you have Wall Street coming in? We talk about this on the show a lot, about this ICO 2.0 era. You have things like Echo and Legion that are kind of leading the charge. Obviously, then once you have, this market structure bill in America, and then wherever else it follows in different countries, you're going to have these different portals and ways to, bring in literally trillions of dollars of revenue, or of expenditure kind of to the market. And that's going to mostly go into new projects, right? These ICOs, or just the equivalent IPO. And that's kind of what Wall Street's going to be familiar with, doing fundamental analysis, doing these things that they feel like they have an edge, and maybe less likely trying to trade these kind of like meme coins. So with AI, there is this fear that it could replace developers, but from what I've seen, it's actually enhancing the skills of the developer. So maybe the market then just has to be more creative moving forward from a product standpoint.
Yeah, that's the exact word I was going to use, creativity, creative. I think that like that, the people who are most creative are going to be the ones that prosper, because it will be, everyone always says it's not AI that's going to replace you, it's going to be a human using AI that will replace you. And for a very long time, I think that's still going to remain true. It's the person who can come up with ideas. It's the person who can think about, all right, there's all these AI agents out there now. maybe can I build something that the AI agents are going to use? Can I build like the picks and axes and things that the AI agents will be using, or the rails that they will be using? Or can I build something that humans want in this world where they have way more time because AI is doing things, or et cetera, et cetera. I think that the creativity element it's kind of what makes me very bullish on the future, because I think AI will unlock all this creativity in just humanity in general, and hopefully that will propel us forward as a species.
You have, the Zen Academy, and, you're an investor and you do different types of content. So you've really been in, the kind of attention space for a little while. Have you ever considered, getting your hands dirty, getting into product development, building a protocol, building an L2, getting in with the VCs, or doing anything of that nature?
Not really. I like the closest, yeah, in terms of like a big significant product, not yet, but like even just last weekend with all this like vibe coding stuff going around now, I was like, you know what, let me just try it, because I did a little bit of coding, back when I was a teenager, and I was never great at it and haven't done it in a long time, but now anyone can sort of use AI and just like work and get better and better and better. And so I'm like open to the idea, whereas like if again, creativity, if I have a good idea and I think, hey, this is something that I think a lot of people would want and it's simple enough to build, then I think I'd give it a real go at trying to build it myself. I hesitate to really want to get into something as significant as like an L2 or a protocol that requires a bunch of people working on it. I don't know, I've always been a bit of like a lone wolf, and I think I tend to do better just focusing on things myself, going at my own pace. But that could change in a year or 2 or 5 or 6 months. But right now, I think I would only build something if I can do it myself with AI at the moment.
One of the things I think you're really strong at, just watching you over the years, is kind of maintaining a community of people, which is very difficult. Like, I mean, we all know they tend to turn on you if price goes wrong or whatever, or you tell them the wrong thing and they buy something and doesn't work out. What's your kind of just overall, the way you look at they call it community management, but just, how do you look at that from that perspective? Because I think you're one of the best at it. Like, how do you view that and frame that for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not rocket science. I think you try and deliver value to people. You try and be a good human. You just try and be honest with people and manage expectations. And I think that's basically it. And just like you turn up regularly. So many people in the space and projects and people in the world, they hype things up. They set way too high expectations. They think extractively. So it's not like, how can I add value to my community? It's like, hey, we're doing a token launch and we want to make money out of it. How can we get attention and build a community around that? They aren't always honest with the community. They say one thing, they do another. They have different motivations and they hide information. And not everyone. There's obviously some fantastic communities and community builders out there, but I've just always thought, like, you build a community one person at a time. And if you just sort of be a good person and be honest with people, like, people will resonate with that. And as long as you have something of value that you're offering that sort of keeps people coming back, people want a place to call home. People like craving belonging in the world that we have today. Like, we're all so isolated and stuck at home. That's, I think, partly why NFTs took off so much, because it was like during COVID, we're all stuck at home and we all just wanted friends. We all wanted to hang out and have fun. That's the world even today, even without COVID. We're all so lonely. So people want a place to belong and have a community. You really just have to give it to them and then just not screw it up. And that's just the approach that I've taken. And it's definitely, it served me well. And I'm very honored to have just the caliber of people still turning in and turning up to Zen Academy every day it's heartwarming to me.
Yeah, it is pretty exciting. Chris, do you have any questions?
Yeah. Man, I mean, it seems like at this stage of crypto, we have the most progress that we've ever made in terms of just general acceptance, but it seems like the communities are smaller than they've ever been. So it's such like it's dislocated like it's almost never been before. Bitcoin's taking off, but Bitcoin ecosystems are non-existent. Ethereum is struggling. Solana has a bunch of self-inflicted wounds. What do you think about where crypto is and how far we've come? And then what do you think is, like, where would you be looking for opportunities? What do you think is exciting at this stage? Because it seems like it's hard to get people excited anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think crypto is better than it's ever been. Like, it's hard not to think that when you look at, like, I remember last cycle 21, but certainly even before that, one of the sort of Damocles hanging over our head was governments are just going to shut us down. The US government's going to be like, you know what, no on-ramping, off-ramping from crypto. And it wouldn't completely destroy crypto. You can't, but it would set us back 10 years, 20 years. It would really hurt the industry. And that's why, like, when nations like China would ban crypto, it was like, initially it was a big deal. Then they did it every 6 months and it stopped being a big deal. But that's disappeared now. It's like, that's one of the biggest existential risks to crypto is gone. Another risk was no one's going to care. Like, it's just a group of nerds that are, you know, there's 10,000 or 150,000 of us on the internet that care about this. The rest of the world's not going to care. And both of those have disappeared. Like, you have BlackRock, you have ETFs, you have, I think, like 700 million people globally now own crypto, which is, as a percentage, it's like less than 10%, but that's a crazy number of people still. So it's like, we've made it. We're there. It's not going to die. It's not going to disappear. It's always going to be around, I think. And adoption has never been higher. However, there's still a massive negative connotation towards crypto. Like, you step outside our bubble and talk to like normal people, or you go to like different parts of the internet, and like, yeah, everyone still hates crypto. Like, so many people still hate crypto and what we stand for. And that is a challenge that I think people will have. Like, the industry has to change its, I guess, reputation and a perception issue. But I think that's happening as time goes on, where basically the best way to do that is building products and things that make people's lives better. And the best example of that I can think of is stablecoins, and like this massive increase in stablecoin usage and adoption. The ability to send money from one country to the other side of the world in like 3 seconds and cost less than 1 cent is, like, compared to traditional models, that's like a great side-by-side comparison. That you can just be like, it's thousands of times cheaper and hundreds of times quicker. And there's so many people that want to send money back to their family in another part of the world, or do business with someone in a different country, and traditionally would take a day to send money, and $10, $20, $50 a percentage in fee or whatever. And it's way better. And so, yeah, I mean, I could not be more bullish on crypto. Basically, we're in an amazing state. And in terms of where the opportunities are, again, it goes back to like the fragmentation of it all. It's just so split up within crypto that it's hard to really focus on, or too many specific areas without like for like the medium term. I think like short term, you can find those pockets and metas like meme coins, AI agents, SUI ecosystem, AVAX. There's always one thing that people are paying attention to: NFTs, ordinals. But a lot of them are just like little like just pockets of attention that they're like just the hot potato game that fade away. So I think most people should like decide what kind of strategy they want to take. If it's like long-term investing, then just, you know, buy and hold Bitcoin, maybe ETH, Sol, a couple others. If it's trading, then realize that you're playing a difficult game. Like, it's not easy to make money trading crypto, and most people will probably fail, so shouldn't try.
Yeah, I agree. I guess kind of what I'm thinking is, you know, it seems like, you know, crypto started from a niche corner of the internet, and it was pioneered by all these strange characters dispersed all over the globe. And then Wall Street finally ended up coming in, as they just kind of came in swiftly, probably over the last couple of years. And now it seems like actually the entire industry is mostly like Wall Street driven already. It's like we were so quick to give it up. It's kind of hard to see like where the crypto natives went, where they got dispersed to. No one that's actually like a crypto native is really completely like thriving in any type of meaningful way, I would say. So just think that that's kind of like a weird dynamic. What do you think happened? Where is it?
So there's this brilliant internet article. It's called Geeks, Mops, and Sociopaths. I recommend everyone reads it. You just Google Geeks, Mops, MOPS, and Sociopaths. It's basically about this concept of how basically anything that starts out, any sort of new thing starts out like niche. It starts out with a core community of like believers, and that's what happened with crypto. Like the cypherpunk ethos, the core builders, the people that the anti-establishment, people that hate Wall Street, hate governments, all that kind of stuff. That's where we started out. But in order for anything to grow and gain bigger and bigger adoption, it will, you know, it will be making money. People will flood to it for one reason or another. And you just can't possibly have something where there's 700 million people in the world, or something that you want billions of people to interact with, without it going mainstream. Like there's this homogeny with anything that goes mainstream. It all becomes somewhat similar. It all becomes tainted by Wall Street and markets and all that kind of stuff. And so it is this at odds, like dichotomy or juxtaposition where you have, on the one hand, this belief of anti-establishment cypherpunk ethos that crypto started with, but on the other hand, it's like, do you want everyone in the world to be using crypto or not? Because you can't have both. So either you have to give up some of the original morals or values, or you just can't have everyone in the world using it. And so I think it's kind of like a necessary evil is how I think of it. Like it's not. I don't know too many super crypto natives that are like ecstatic that, you know, it's gone as mainstream and that like BlackRock is buying and selling and the governments are getting so involved. But again, if you want everyone to be using crypto, you just have to accept that.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we had talked about since I joined the space almost 9 years ago, about ETFs and different types of institutions, right? The institutions are coming as something that was said literally ad nauseum forever. And now that it actually is here, Chris, are you gonna say?
I just like alt season. The institutions are coming and alt season to it.
That's right.
Yeah, but maybe crypto is getting to this point now where, instead of, or maybe speculation becomes secondary at some point, right? And like the actual use case comes in. I think this is why stable coins seem to be kind of front and center is that there is no speculation really for stable coins, right? It's all kind of about utility. Do you think crypto can actually ever get past that? Obviously, people love trading shit coins and meme coins, but as the technology progresses and new people come in to the space, right, they're probably going to be onboarded through AI. AI has like 5 or 10 times, the amount of users per month than crypto does. They know about speculation, but as you said, the edges will eventually be taken away through all of this different type of tooling to where maybe speculation becomes less and people start using stuff for gaming and different types of aspects. Do you think something like that can happen?
I think it will definitely happen. I think it is basically inevitable as more adoption gets into the space. Like most people here in crypto, even today now, want to make money. Like, yes, you can be here for the technology and the values in the future and all that kind of stuff. Massively exciting. And yes, there are some rare people who don't care about money at all. But most people in crypto, especially the people like trading or turning up every day, it's like, yeah, this is really cool and awesome. I also like to make a bit of money. I like to trade a little bit here and there. I like to find a good alt. But we are by far the exception. Most people in the world, they find the stock market too risky. They find like they find a 2% drop in their stock portfolio, like panic-inducing, anxiety-inducing. So that's who will be joining the space eventually. So they care about fundamentals, they care about stability, and don't care about like fluctuations as crazy as us maniacs seem to love and care about. So yeah, I think it's inevitable that we'll get to a point where fundamentals matter a lot more, and speculation is a much smaller pocket of the world, like it is today. Like we're still in a small pocket of the world, but
yeah. I do want to talk something specifically. I'm just curious. We all thought NFTs were more fun, right? Maybe it was just like there's a little bit more accountability with NFTs. With meme coins, it's so easy to just basically dump everything and move on. Whereas NFTs, right, there's an image attached. People are able to associate you with that type of identity. Do you think NFTs ever come back? And if so, do you think what type of reshaping or different type of tooling do you think is needed for people to become interested in it again?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think NFTs come back in the same way they were around in 2021. Like that lightning in a bottle mania, COVID was happening. It was just like a massive bubble. People were making crazy amounts of money. Like we won't get that level of attention on NFTs again. But I also don't think like NFTs never went anywhere either. Like there was still a core group of communities that stuck around. Some projects from 21 and even earlier like sticking around and thriving today. I think it's more of a I mean, NFT is just a technology. You can build anything on top of the token standard. And I think we'll continue to see more of a flight to quality. I think a lot of the people that got burned in 21 are now like, we've learned our lesson. We're not just going to give a bunch of money and mint a collection to a random anonymous team, at least not as frequently as did in the past. But when people come along with a good idea, a good model, a good use case for NFTs, I think people will still get excited by the idea and prospect of it. Good Vibes Club is a recent example of an NFT project that has done well and found that same like enjoyment and love, and people are changing their PFPs and a community is forming around it. Or you have like the Masks by Sam Spratt and like this art culture community and movement is forming around that. We'll have gaming NFTs that really take off. We'll have a lot of NFTs that people don't even know that they're engaging and interacting with NFTs. It's just like they're playing a video game, and just so happens that NFTs are in the background. So yeah, NFTs are. I still believe what I thought in 21. It's like they are the future. Like, we spend so much time on the internet. The internet will be underpinned by NFTs at some point, whether or not people know it or care about it, or it's just some technology running in the background. Probably a bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it with you mentioned 2 of them this past week. We're seeing it with the RWAs with Courtyard. I don't know if you've tracked that with Pokemon cards, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's Pokemon's like this perfect mix of a collectible, but people love to, get a rare or open a pack, and price goes up, they feel rich for a moment in time, right? And it's actually a better tech. It's like you can trade it, open it, trade it, and then collect the physical if you want to. It's like, this is what we talked about in 21, and it's here, right? And it feels like gaming's one of those too, where it's like, we know it's inevitable, but it's just like, when's it going to happen? You know what I mean? It's just like, we're in this waiting game. And I think, to your point, a lot of it has to do with the kind of pure speculation, which turns people off. It excites us, but for the average person, the pure speculation, people just think it's a scam, right? And so they don't want that. Do you see anything like that on your radar, or anything that's kind of, I don't know, just normie friendly? Have you caught anything like that just, vibes for like the normies that maybe we're missing?
Yeah. Let me think. Probably nothing.
I saw one today, which was like a travel thing. It was like, pay for your travel with crypto, and then your rewards are like, it's an NFT, but it's just like, it's mellow, it's not speculation, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen like crypto debit cards, like there's a MetaMask card and things like that are coming out. And I was very skeptical of them at first, because I was like, if you buy with crypto, you're going to pay like a 7-10% spread. But then people that have been using it, like, it's actually less than a regular credit card because of, I don't know, some magic of stablecoins and payment rails, and they give you a bit of a kickback as well. So I think things like that and stablecoins and just general low variance, low volatility thing is what will appeal to most people. And yeah, I don't know, nothing too crazy on my radar.
Yeah, I mean, I love the credit card. I mean, I friends with Ron, who's this guy who's partial owner of an exchange, and they have this like card available, and he's like, it's amazing because when you're at the checkout, you have it on your phone or whatever, and you can select like, actually, I want to pay with my Pepe, or I want to pay with my whatever, so cool. And it's actually the reason it kind of saves money, or it's because, like, for a normie like me, I transfer my crypto into Kraken, and then I gotta exchange it, and then I gotta transfer it, and it's like they like to layer on these fees. Yeah, it can actually be cheaper, to just go and pay with my Pepe, to buy my groceries.
Plus, you think maybe NFTs need something like a pump fund, right? Because meme coins had been around for a long time, and it really, all it took was this pump fund style kind of bonding curve gamification, people feeling like they're getting early, or feel like all they got to do is put in a few dollars, and that maybe 1 in a million chance they become a millionaire, but it's better than the lottery style thing. Do you think something like that? Do you think NFTs need something like that?
I don't think so. I know. I think that some of those protocols exist. I definitely know a bunch of people building that type of model. I don't know that it's what people really, really want. I think like it's kind of a different value proposition. Like the lottery element isn't there as much with NFTs because you have like a limited supply. Usually I think they're just fundamentally different value props. Like people do want to make money. Maybe I'm wrong, and like people will just gamble on NFTs. It'll be the next thing. But I think that I think people are kind of, we've already seen it now. The volumes drop with pump fun. People are kind of sick of that extractive model. So I think it'll be something else, something different that really reinvigorates the NFT space next time around. Hopefully, I would not love to see. I wouldn't love if we get a pump fun version of NFTs and that's just the next big thing in crypto. It's like that's not very inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like NFTs had this like what we would call plunge protection, right? Because you couldn't just get out, right? It's like
Right.
you had
Yeah.
to
It was all
go
or
under
nothing.
the floor, and then
Yeah.
like it was a slow process, right? Which actually like ordinals to a large extent have benefited from, right? It's like really it takes 20 minutes to sell your
Yeah.
ordinal. It's like, you know, so people are
I've
like,
never
just
sold an
don't even
ordinal.
do it.
Like I've bought
Yeah.
a bunch. I've just never sold them. So like, it's too much work and effort. I'll bag hold. Hopefully they come back one day. And yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
What do you think
It's
of
the built-in mempool.
thesis between chains, like Solana, quick and easy to sell, Bitcoin more for collectors, obviously slower transaction times, easier to hold, and then Ethereum in the middle. Just like logic would say that the ordinals ecosystem would be on fire, but it's not the case at all. What are your thoughts? Just systems and where they're
It's
at.
double-edged sword. Solana quick and easy to sell, but it's also quick and easy to buy. Like buying on Bitcoin and ordinals is slow and expensive and takes time as well. So like it goes both ways. Yeah. So I mean, I definitely understand the value prop of ordinals. Like I think it's fascinating technology and very, very, very interesting. But I think like until the user experience gets better, I think people are still just kind of turned off by it, and it's quite different from smart contract chains with how it operates and how it works. Like I had a friend who has been in crypto for like a long time, done a lot of stuff on chain, and he was panicking when he bought or did something on Bitcoin because he's like, "Oh, my Bitcoin is gone. Where did it go?" And didn't realize that like it has to. That's how the chain works. You'll get it
my
sent
whole
back.
wallet got drained, man.
Yeah,
You know,
honestly, and was panicking and reached out to like exchanges and support people, and like it's just fundamentally different. And so I think that yeah, what is good for one isn't necessarily good for the other. Or yeah.
What about your take on just kind of the different formations of culture on blockchains? Bitcoin, I make this joke a lot. Bitcoin has become almost like the boomer chain, right? The people
that's
who
XRP.
XRP is the dads and Uber drivers, man.
Yeah.
They absolutely love that.
Incredible. Okay.
When you look at like Bitcoin, right, it has 10-minute block times, and obviously you have this like institutional kind of Wall Street individuals who really enjoy it, and it's become more of a collector's chain, so it moves a little bit slower, whereas something like Ethereum seems to be a lot more based around millennials and infrastructure and kind of builders, and then Gen X is kind of like this, like the VCs who fund it. And then you have Solana that was really all about Zoomers, right? It was all about the attention cycle, in and out as fast as possible. But we're starting to run out of generations for, you know, communities to go on and different types of formations. So just curious if you thought about something like that, and just about, you know, different types of cultures cultivating on a blockchain, and maybe how important the social layer is for these things.
Yeah, I hadn't specifically thought about like generations and blockchains too much, but I definitely thought a lot about how like the meme coin casino was Zoomers and like teenagers and early 20s. It was dominated by them, whereas NFTs, like I'm 36, and like it seemed to be more people around my age, like early 30s, and people in their 40s, and people who grew up in the 90s collecting Pokemon cards and things like that really gravitated towards NFTs. So definitely recognize that difference. And like you said, we're running out of generations. You have Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, and Ripple. Like again, do we need another 50 blockchains? Probably not. Like that's enough. Yeah.
Wait, should we make it illegal to stop making blockchains? It's funny because
honestly,
we get into all this with this conversation all the time, and I'm just the problem is the incentive is so great to make your own chain. I mean, it's just the incentive.
L1 valuation.
Yeah. VCs will give you money because it's good for them, and then you think it's great for you, and then users think they can make money by being early and use the test net, and it's just this vicious cycle that will take a while to break.
What's your take on your take on VCs in the space? It seems like they've been changing a little bit. You know, for a while, VCs, they come in, they're actual capital allocators going into actual projects. Seems recently they've become more about liquid funds, or even just kind of like a pseudo hedge fund who's just trying to come in and not really providing as much value. Whereas now you have people like Kobe and Legion and some of these other ones that are trying to give that back, or even Pump Fund to a degree, trying to give it back right to the community to put in your hands. So we're seeing this battle going on. What's your thoughts on like where this is today?
Yeah, I think I mean, not all VCs are created equal. So like, there's definitely been a lot of predatory VC practices where they're just maximally extractive and just care about making money. But you have also definitely some that care about building in the space, and they will support you and they will give you money, but then also let you tap into the network and give you advice and all that kind of stuff. And then you have everything in between. So I think that it's just a state of the world where some are going to be great, some are going to be not. But I think the addition of like Echo and Legion to the market is just a net positive, because it now gives people options. Now you can go to VCs and fund that way, which is an arduous, grueling process, and basically no one I know who's fundraised has said it was an enjoyable experience. Or you can go to the community and you can be, you know what, we want to raise a bunch of money. We don't want to like do a token right now or do it that way. We just want to sell some equity in the company or something like that. We'll do it this way. And that is good for the company because they have a bunch of supporters now that are like stakeholders, and incentives are aligned, and they want the thing that they invested in to do well. And it is good for the people because, you know, a lot of not the average person probably couldn't have invested in Solana back in 2020 or in Sui, in the seed round of Sui, or all these kind of things. And now all of a sudden you have like mega ETH where anyone could have invested in that if you were clicking fast enough and not sleepy and lazy like me, and I slept through the whole thing. But yeah, the option was there at least.
Or you were lucky enough to get the whitelist like Jake got it. Did you get a whitelist? One of the, what was it?
Oh, that rabbit thing?
Or Mega ETH. Yeah, I got in on that.
ETH, got the whitelist?
That was
that
was all from Kaido.
I was in the raffle for that or whatever, but I took like 2 weeks off because I was getting married and away for like, so I just completely ignored that, and I didn't even know I missed it, but I think I was potentially eligible, but I probably wouldn't have won the raffle.
Bro, you lost generational wealth.
On the next
every other day in crypto, you lose generational
That's it, man.
wealth.
That's it.
Too many times.
Yeah, I got really just one final question from my side is, you know, just kind of the broader picture here. You know, how are you positioning yourself over the next 6 months? This market structure bill is supposed to come in the next 4 or 5 months. Sentiment's at an all-time low. Are you just kind of chilling? Are you looking for projects? And yeah, what's the evaluation strategy?
I'm mostly just chilling. Like I said, sentiment is low. It's historically not been a fantastic idea to sell when sentiment is low. Like I said earlier, I still think there's like a 75-80% chance that the bull market will continue. Yeah, I'm ETH heavy. My bags are ETH heavy, so I'm just hoping that ETH comes back around. I have a high conviction in it. It's been very tough to be an ETH holder.
Don't tell your wife you're ETH.
Yeah, that's a quick road to divorce. Yeah, that's me. I'm positioned mostly in ETH and ETH denominated like NFTs and a few other things. A bit of Sol and Bitcoin exposure and a couple of other alts. In terms of alts, I think the AI sector is still the most interesting and fascinating one to me. So it's probably the one I'd be most looking to redeploy back into new projects. But yeah, right now I'm mostly just sitting on my hands and waiting and focusing on like content and other things.
How do you think of, and this will be my last question too, is that the way ETH is approaching it? I actually kind of like it. They're approaching it as from an L2 perspective, but you know, they're not collecting any fees. It's like none of the value is coming back to, you know, the L1, right? How do you view it? You know, give me the sales pitch for why this is
honestly,
you know.
It's confusing, right? Because it's like there's the ETH Foundation is sending mixed messages. People want one thing, the community is clamoring for one thing, and the community is so fragmented. I think what we need is like some more clarity and alignment and like to get people on the same page, because you've got this thing now where like the foundation is doing one thing, Vitalik wants one thing, and then you have all these bag holders who want another thing. They're like, you should charge more and get the value back to the layer one. And then there's all these different parties. And I think that's really what's hurting ETH a lot at the moment. I'm like you, I don't necessarily think it's bad what they're doing. And I think that just, it's kind of like a longer term view and in building in that direction, which again, might hurt the price short term because X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing that will make ETH price go up, I think, and for any chain, is just having actual real users. And that requires apps. And like, you know, the reason Solana did so well, one of the reasons Solana did so well is Pump Fund was on Solana. It's had so much volume, so much attention, so much activity, so many fees. Yeah, and that's partly why NFTs did so well in 21. ETH did so well in 21 is because of NFTs. And so I think that having more layer twos, having people build, having a lot of devs, is just increasing that luck surface area for like one breakout app to take, or like one breakout sector to like take off, and then all of a sudden like, wow, everyone's using ETH again because of whatever reason.
Totally.
Yeah.
I guess we're at the last one for me. Let's see. It's 2020, 2021. You're up like 8 figures. Euphoria is running high. What are some signs in hindsight that you're like, all right, that was kind of
Throw it all on ETH, baby.
Yeah. So many. I mean, I think the thing is, you're so delusional at that point that you can't see those signs at the time. It's so hard to see it at that point.
Right.
But one of the things for me that it was just such a massive flaw in thinking was thinking that I was diversified, because in reality, everything is so heavily correlated within crypto to Bitcoin. But I was like, yeah, I have some Bitcoin and ETH exposure. I have NFT exposure, but I have like art NFTs and PFPs and gaming NFTs and all these other NFTs. And it's like, all right, maybe if art NFTs go down, PFPs will go up. And it worked that way for quite a while. And then eventually, the entire market imploded. And delusional was like, super cycle theory. It's like, it's going to keep going up. And then you just get the daisy chain of events of 2022 that prove that was all wrong. So now it's more about recognizing that you will be delusional. It's inevitable. It's a human condition. And so try and set up like some systems in place ahead of time that kind of you try and stick to, that force you to take profits. Like, if you take a screenshot, just sell, and don't just keep it in your wallet. Go send it to like a cold hardware wallet that you don't have access to, or withdraw it to your bank account. Like, make it difficult for you to like reinvest that money back in, because most people will just be tempted to put the money back in. And it's just, to me, it's about setting up systems and processes to help avoid the delusion that I know is going to settle in.
Yeah, the amount of times I haven't sold anything because it's just been sitting in a hardware wallet. It like saved me a bunch of times. Also been my detriment a few times too. But Zeneca, dude, I appreciate you for waking up early, coming in, having the show. It's great to finally talk in person. I see you all over the timeline, dude. I know we're gonna be all building together for a while, so dude, just finally great to connect and finally have this conversation.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was a blast. Really appreciated it.
Appreciate it. For those that are listening, we host a show Tuesday through Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, covering everything from AI, Bitcoin ecosystem, and such. Tomorrow, we're hosting our show as we release Agent Hustle V2, actually number 9 of all agents mindshare. It's been really, a lot of the community's been really hyped for it. So I will be doing a live tutorial as we have the public release. So please be here tomorrow then, and then we'll show you the world, what we have with the DeFi AI sector. Until then, please follow the Emblem Vault account as well as Agent Hustle that's on stage, so that you can stay up to date with everything we're doing in the cross-chain world of Emblem Vault. Until then, I will see you guys tomorrow at 11:30 Eastern time. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Peace.